Let's welcome our moderator and our panelists with a huge round of applause.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, panelists, for joining this very interesting session. And we have very experienced panelists for this session. For decades, experience has been cornerstone of leadership. Today, we have another powerful force shaping business: artificial intelligence, automation, data, and digital technologies. The question is no longer whether technology will change our business; it is already. The real question is how experienced leaders adapt our business. Um, uh, the real question is how experienced leaders adapt, how younger digital native professionals contribute, and how together they can extraordinary business values. Together discussion is about this journey. So we are talking about an experienced leadership, and we have younger lots, they're coming into this business. How these two things are gelling into the business. So first, I would like to start with Subhrajji. And since you deal with people and you have a vast experience in this, uh, the global perspective also. So HR has always been about people, right? So while technology has traditionally been about systems, today these two words are merging rapidly. How do you see AI changing the role of HR over the next 5 years?
Thank you, Santoshi. I think let me start by saying HR always will have two roles in this, any such shift. Um, we have seen many such shifts in the past when significant change in the environment has happened. Of course, this is a fundamental shift, if I can, for a want of a better word. AI is fundamentally changing the way the business will happen or people will behave. As far as the HR role is concerned, there are two elements of the role. One, I always say what will happen to HR function itself. And that I'm sure all of us in the room is asking the same question. But the other role is also about how HR is going to help the organization transition or transform into the future of the work model. So these are the two aspects which, when I look at the role of HR and how HR is going to change, fundamentally the HR's own operating models across all its verticals, whether how people learn and how learning services were delivered in the past is going to change fundamentally. How you were recruiting people, that is going to change fundamentally. How you were compensating people is going to change fundamentally. The traditional models of roles, the way that you used to construct organization, how roles were constructed, everything is going to go through a transformation, because one thing is very clear: whether AI takes away any role or not, AI will definitely change every role the way it is happening today. And that is something where a significant amount of work has to be done by HR along with business leaders to redefine roles, redefine positions, redefine working models, how technology and people integrate together to create the best value for the organization. Similarly, in terms of the information, on all of us, I'm sure you would have seen there are 3 booths. I was encouraged to see that. Privacy is going to come, is going to be a very, very fundamental element of how you deal with data. And particularly in HR, there are going to be significant restrictions. Or I would say, first of all, we have to be extremely conscious of how we use the data. But ultimately, many of the organization decisions about people will also start leveraging. And this is something to my HR colleagues as well. Sometimes we end up making our laptops our power centers, that what information you control. But increasingly, the shift will be towards empowering the people managers themselves to do more on their own. And that's another technology shift which we are seeing. Why does a HR person needs to have the source of the data Why can't a manager make the same decision? This could be in hiring, this could be in career decisions. So we will see shifts of that kind, and that is where HR also has to orient itself to acquiring the skills which are more complementary and not be just the aggregator of data as most of the time as we are doing. Maybe I'll take a pause at that and
Absolutely right, Subraji. So even in this event, we are encouraging people to participate and learn what new things that is available at the booths because it is just not about technology. It is about how people can use technology in a better way in their own functions. Right, absolutely right. So to the next question, coming to you, Amit ji. In traditionally what we have seen in sales, there's a lot of data that gets generated, right, from the fields and all. And over the period, there has been a shift in terms of how data is being collected from paper to now we have mobile apps available for the field force. And when you collect such a huge amount of data, right, moving from that traditional method of taking decisions based on your gut feel and your experience, and now you're moving towards a more of a data-driven decisions. So how technology has changed the way the sales head used to work previously and now? If you can just throw some lights on that.
Thank you, sir. So I think a very good question on so how the older sales heads used to work and what will happen now. So we have moved from a reactive to a kind of a suggestive way. It is, that's where the technology comes in. Earlier when usually in our sales calls, we used to get an answers by the end of the month, why the sales are not happening. So it's because of wholesale not firing, it's because of floods, it's because of any other thing. Today, with our data as of now, we can go not deep at a national level, but not at a state level, not at a district level, but at a city cluster level, largely known as micro markets. So today, I can go to that level and tell to the team that, boss, this is the problem. But this is what we want to inculcate to the entire team, is how you can come back with the solutions, is where the gaps are. So the days have gone when we are used to talk about saying there are floods, there are problem in wholesale. No. Where is the problem? Is the problem at the wholesaler, particular retail outlet? We can go that level also now. So with the technology coming in, I think it's a boon to us where we are trying to build up, which was more of experience talking about this is what will happen, this is what will happen in February, this is what will happen in winters, to going to a scientific way to approach business. Whereas it also tells us which SKUs are relevant for that particular region. It's not everything will sell everywhere. So it is helping us to plan better and deeper, I would say. That's where the technology we are using as of now. So.
Thank you, Amaji. And we are seeing this change in the sales team, the way they used to look at data and do some analytics and all. Things are changing a lot. It's not just about sales data. There are a lot of external data also that is helping the sales team. The data that is not only getting generated from our systems, but from various other systems also. Thank you, Amaji. So now I would like to move to Mohiji. You have been, a force for tech adoption in the organizations, and you have worked hard. We have seen those days of SAP implementation where you participated very actively, and now we have moved to the family office. There also, whatever kind of adoption of tech is required, you are actively, participating in that. So, so finance has moved from just reporting past to predicting the future. How have automation, analytics, and AI changed the role of a CFO? If you can throw some lights on that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me here. So, not only AI, before that, the automation, the development that have been happening in the environment have helped the CFO in making the predictions. So, I'll try to give some examples that how the CFO has been helped by the automation and the technology. So like say for example, Um, if one of the prime responsibilities of the CFO is to manage the flow of the funds, MPL of the fund should always be there in the treasury. So there are certain debtors who have to pay up by certain dates. There are certain creditors who have to pay up by certain, whom we have to pay by certain dates. So basis the data sitting in the ERP books of ours, very easily a CFO can pull out the dates on which he can expect the balances to go negative into the future. So that will help him in start preparing for the procurement or the raising of the borrowing much in advance rather than dealing with it in a panic kind of a situation. So that is only possible when you have got the entire thing digitized, some SAP kind of a ERP or some similar kind of books are being maintained. Again, the other example that I can share about the how this AI thing has and how the AI thing has helped the CFOs or any other professional working in the finance and accounts domain is something like say for example, I mean, we here in the family office, due to certain reasons of ours, are expected to make remittances, foreign remittances. So these remittances are normally in the form of US dollars. So everybody of us knows that there is a very high fluctuation between the parity of INR versus the USD, very high fluctuation. And normally we see the USD getting expensive as the day passes, but there are times when it gets cheaper as well. So if I am tasked to make a prediction on the INR versus the USD thing, so one of the ways I can use technology here is that I usually ask for a lot of reports from the bankers who are in touch with us. And those reports, the single report would be running in like 30 to 40 pages. And I would normally be having 5 to 6 reports to go through. So if I have to manually read those reports, it becomes impossible for me to look for the question. I'll just can't, when I start reading them, I'll get lost into the maze and the kind of the lingo that is used there. So now what we have done is that we have a document reader kind of software installed in our family office. So you can upload these reports into that software and start asking the questions. The software will read the entire 200 pages for you and will bring out the exact answers with the page numbers, para references, that this is the exact answer that you are looking for, binary kind of an answers. The other third example could be like if I'm trying to invest into metals, if I'm trying to invest into precious metals. So again, I mean, similar kind of a reports help me in the similar way. I mean, the last example I'll give is, there could be a number of examples. I mean, the last example could be like that if I am into an industry where the major raw material is kind of an agri product. So the weather forecast reports that are available to us due to this advancement of the technology can tell CFO that the prices of this, due to the output, due to the weather conditions, the output of this particular product will be higher or lower. So a decision can be taken, maybe if the output is going to be lower, a decision can be taken to buy those products much in advance before the prices starts going up. So all these examples point towards that basis the use of the technology, AI, automation, digitization of your data. So CFO is able to look into the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Moiji. And as you have mentioned, various use cases in your function. So earlier finance was more around structured data. Now we are not only talking about structured data, we are also talking about unstructured data. The example that you gave, that there is a book, right? You can upload that book and you can ask questions. So there are a lot of unstructured data that goes into finance, and then you have to do analysis and take decision based on that. So this is a a lot of change that has happened within finance also, right? Thank you, Moiji. So
Thank you.
coming to you, Shiraji, and you had excellent presentation yesterday around agribusiness. So agriculture has traditionally been viewed as a conventional industry, yet today it is embracing AI, satellite images, IoT, predictive analytics, and agentic AI. What has surprised you the most in this transformation? And this is very true. Yesterday also we were showing a lot of data that was related to this technology that we're talking about. So if you can just throw some lights on that, how this transformation has happened.
Firstly, sir, an absolute honor to be on this stage. Much like Newton's laws which govern the metrics for motion, scaling laws govern the metrics for performance of AI and data. So with relation to agri, much like the other terms, with the computation power in flops and the parameters of the model in terms of billion or let's say a trillion parameters, this is common to all verticals, not just agri. What is different is data. Now, data for agri and for others is of two types. Data for super intelligence, which has got to be structured data, and which has got to be both harmonized for schema in units, as well as normalized for magnitude. And the other end of spectrum of data for agri is the anecdotal data. Now, anecdotal data is typically data which is got human biases, it's got cognitive blind spots. Anecdotal data is going to be biased and unstructured. Now, bringing in this unstructured anecdotal data and the structured data, which is already there in machine learning, is important for agri. Now, I'll come on to the structured data part, which is where there is an issue. I'll give you an example of a very famous movie called Human in the Loop. This term is used a lot. So in 2024, a movie was launched, Human in the Loop, in which an Adivasi woman is given the job of labeling data. So she is given images and she has to identify. So she sees an image of a caterpillar eating a leaf, and she is expected to label it. She leaves it blank. Her manager says, why did you not label it as a pest? She says, in our ecosystem, in our biosystem, a caterpillar which eats only dead leaves is not a pest. However, current machine learning models, which are purely Occidental, not the Oriental, the Occidental models have data which is labeled, which may not be true for us. Whereas the Occidental world, the labeling of data will require to be different. So the bias which creeps in is there. Now, the scaling laws that I mentioned, which govern the metrics for AI, two laws I'll mention. First one is the Chinchilla optimization, and the second one is the Nyquist theorem, which deals with anti-aliasing. Now, the Nyquist theorem, which deals with anti-aliasing, refers to that when you want to reproduce a signal, those who are familiar with signal processing, the rate of sampling has to be twice that of the highest frequency. Otherwise, undersampling results in semantic aliasing. That means you get bias in the trained model. So if we don't get enough samples of data from agribusiness, the model that we have will have errors in it inherently. Secondly, the anecdotal data which we get from the field. Let's say the supervisor is on the field and he's taking a sample of data, and he sees a sample and he sends a voice file. Now that data is going to be unstructured. That data is going to have its inherent issues. So we require a human in the loop to correct the data before it is ingested. Now this process of ingestion of data which comes from the field, it cannot be done in its original form, that is unstructured. So it is required to be first extracted. It has got to be then loaded and then transformed, or it is extracted, transformed, and then loaded. Now this transformation that is there is what I mentioned earlier. It has to be harmonized and it has to be later on normalized. So the initial part is the harmonizing of the data, which is done when the data is received into the data lake. And after that, before it is put into machine learning, data has to be normalized for magnitude. So these things are required to be done within the agri ecosystem, which is still in its nascent stage. So there are no surprises right now, but what is important is with this kind of anecdotal data, which is very important for agri, which is going to come in to counter the existing biases of the machine learning models existing, we need a different models. Structured databases don't help. When this kind of anecdotal data will come in, we require to move away from structured databases or relational databases to knowledge graph. Now, when we move to an architecture of knowledge graph, the current system does not work. We need to move to the next stage of ontologies. So I'll take a pause on that the process that we have to now start for going AI native is build the ontology, build the knowledge graph, and that is where it will take off. So on that, there is only learning and development, no surprises. Thank you.
Excellent, Sirajji. I think with this kind of knowledge, the technology is safe, right? So I'll continue with Siraj again. I know we have talked about AI and a lot of data points and all. And you have been coming to us, why don't we deploy agentic AI in certain use cases? If you can tell the audience, what is agentic AI and what is the difference between agentic AI and AI, and how it relates to your agri business, just throw some lights on that for the audience.
Exactly. So I'll relate it straight away to agri. So I would say normal AI would be that, let's say we get a hyperspectral image of a satellite image, and that interpretation is taken from the experts, and that interpretation is then given to the agronomy team that, okay, in this, let's say, zone 4, there is a lack of nitrogen, and in zone 5, there is lack of irrigation. So then they manually go and increase the irrigation in zone 5, and they increase the amount of nitrogen supply in zone 4. That is normal AI. Agentic AI would be when the server controls for the irrigation system, say, are enabled with the AI system, with the agentic AI, and the algorithm based on the sensors and the data it is receiving from the, let's say, the weather stations and the data from the atmosphere, the humidity levels, the AI decides that if there is a weather prediction that there's going to be rain today at, let's say, 4 p.m. in the afternoon, the agent automatically cuts off the water supply to the irrigation system and it sends a missive to the team that I have shut down the water valves because there is a prediction of rain. But let's go beyond agentic AI. We want to be not just agentic AI, we want to be AI native. So AI native algorithm, what it will do is, it will improve the algorithm. So the algorithm on Monday morning will be better than it is on a Sunday evening based upon the inputs which are coming. So that is what we want to move away from normal AI to agentic AI. And right from the planning inception stage itself, we want to be AI native as far as agriculture is concerned, and I'm sure across the board, sir.
Thank you, Shirajji. And
Quick intervention. I don't know if anyone interested in what he just mentioned in action. There's a series on Prime called Clarkson Farms. It's the guy, Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear. He is now running a series on his own farm. And there are two equipments like that on display. One is an auto tractor, which not just plows the field, but also gathers sensory data. What's the constitution of these acres of farm? There's no single source, like constitution of the soil. Accordingly, that data is fed into the seeding machine, and that plows the seeds or puts the seeds in the ground based on what's the concentration that different parts can handle. And similar way, the fertilizer same data is again used in fertilizing. So I
Autonomous
really
planters.
saw it in action. Very interesting.
great. So Subraj, you can hold the mic. So I have another question for you. And if you look at our organization, there are a lot of people who are traditionally and they are in the system for quite some time. And then you have a lot of younger generation coming into the system. So the question is, today's workforce consists of multiple generations working together, leaders with decades of experience and Gen Z employees who have grown up in a digital world. How do you create a culture where experience and digital agility complement rather than compete with each other?
I think this is a million-dollar question which is being asked not just here, but also a few days back in Parliament. So my answer is not going to be fundamentally different. I started by saying that, yes, this time, because of the technology being so pervasive, that today, practically, my mother, who is 85 years old, is able to use the same technology which my kids are using. That's how easy technology has become. And that's why this question cannot be wished away, that this change or transformation, while technology is making it much easier to adopt, for sure. Like my 30 years have been in technology. When first time enterprise systems were implemented, it was not easy for user level to first assimilate that in their work systems. It was seen as a barrier. When first time we implemented SAP to train users to navigate through those screen, memorize those transaction codes, etc. These were not easy phenomena to handle. But the way the technology is coming now, it is making the job much easier. Having said that, there are a few things which, I would say inherent human capabilities, which are going to be at play. For an example, today if you are curious, pretty much technology is a level player, irrespective of what generation we belong to. Similarly, if you have the courage to experiment with it, it doesn't matter what age, what place, what background, what language barrier, what technology is becoming a biggest enabler in that sense. It is cutting down a significant amount of barriers which were there. Earlier, for example, somebody not coming for very proficient English will even find difficult to go through a SAP module, literature. But today you can get those answers in whichever language and whatever platform that you want to learn about. So my response to that is yes, generational shift is only about the mindset. But if the curiosity, if the learning agility, if the ability to experiment or courage to experiment, if these are inherent capabilities we can develop, then the answer is really not about generational differences in the workplace. That's the culture we should focus on. That how do we, because one thing is for sure, the world is going to change as we watch. In terms of even if we look from people perspective, I earlier said every role is going to change and the way the work is happening is going to change. In this, the only question we have to ask ourselves, or only dimension that we have to focus on if we want to participate in this change process, is how do I remain agile? How do I remain curious? How I keep my learning agility above? And I believe technology has all the elements to bridge any of the generational. See, the generation which is coming to workforce now is naturally tuned to, they don't turn, when we started learning driving and we had to navigate, we will lower the glass and ask the next person on the road which direction to take if we have to go somewhere. Now those ability or those natural abilities have changed in the generation now. If you think one level deeper, these are fundamental DNA shift which has happened. So they are coming more ready for what is the future of work. And we, the generation we belong to, we have to make some effort to get ready for that because it doesn't come naturally to us. Now that's the shift which we have to manage, and organization of course is making a huge effort. This is one such effort. I credit to Santoshji and team to pull off a program of this magnitude and nature at an organization level is not joke. You go to even professional forums, you will find things wanting. I think there are events like this, whether from learning development team or from IT team itself or within the function itself or department SBUs themselves. There are initiatives. The only question we have to keep asking ourselves is how actively I'm participating and what side of the game that I want to play with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Subraji. And this is our, while you have mentioned as an HR, it is an effort to bridge that gap of the generation. And we are also trying to bridge this gap of tech adoption among the employees. And that is why this event is being organized, so that everyone understands the technology in their own domain, their functions. Right. Thank you so much. Coming to you, Amit ji. as you have seen, a lot of experienced people, they go on their gut feel and all. And often I've seen this word, which talks about data suggests one thing and then the gut feel suggests something different, right, in sales term. So when data and experience don't agree, right, how do you decide? What is the term that you use for that?
Tricky question. Sir, I will validate both. To me, data tells me what is happening, and instinct tells me how it is happening. So I'll not go with one side of the thing, is only because the experience has the trends of experience in their mind. So if we talk about people sitting in this room also, everybody has everything in their mind. What data is, we are putting data somewhere in a system where it's giving us a kind of a suggestion. Again, I will mix both of it to use it. Uh, it's very important for us to also understand if the garbage is in, the garbage is out. So I will not take data as data on a prima facie is only because it can be a garbage in also. So before even getting into the data, the outcome of it, we should see that how the data has been entered, how the data has been there. Give you an example for, we might see in some of the cases we see that retailers has been billed every single, every 3 minutes there is a retailer getting billed by a salesman. Is it possible for us to do that? It's impossible. Because a salesman will take at least 10 minutes to reach to a next retailer. So I'm just giving you an example. These are ways where we should first see how the data input is there. If the input is correct, then we will go to that. We are on a learning curve as of now. We all are learning today. And I think it will take us time to reach to a level where we can say that no, this will have a higher percentage. But by that time, experience also equally important for us as data. So everybody sitting in this room will also agree to what I'm saying is we can't only look at data and take decisions, because data might tell you like a technology that Amit, you have to sell this particular SKU at this particular shop. But who will sell? We will sell. So data will tell you to sell. Who will pursue is the sales team. That's where it's both is very, very important, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amiji.
Just to say one word, I think explainability and observability are the two conditions we require of AI.
100%.
So moving to Mohiji, and probably this will be the last question, then I'll open this forum for some suggestions and all. So you have been, the strongest advocate of automation within your organization. What has been the biggest challenge, not from technology, but from people, and how did you overcome it?
Yes. So the biggest challenge always remains, which is inherent for any human, that the humans are normally resistant to change. Largely, it is so. So once that fact is there, so we started the process of automation by explaining them that how, if we start doing the same things a bit differently, how will it actually make our lives easier? What is the exact problem that we are trying to solve? And lastly, once the problem has been solved, how the success will look like? How will it be so different from what we are doing presently? Say, for example, like we have like extensive audits happening in each of our corporate entities. So I was still there. So the audits normally consume a lot of time. It is very cumbersome. We are asked with hundreds and hundreds of documents, and at the end of the day, why the balance sheets have not been completed, the answer from the auditor side will be the auditee has not provided us this and that, those kind of documents. So what we found a solution to this problem was that we got the DMS installed in our accounting softwares, whereby every transaction got the way we explained that every transaction will get supported by the supporting documents, and you no longer have to provide these documents to the auditor. Rather, the auditor will tell you that that particular transaction has not been appended with a particular document, so please append it so. So this makes life easier for the auditee, plus it enables to enrich my data system as well. Because now I am being told that that particular transaction is not been appended within a supporting. So if I put that, if I correct that mistake, so my software gets enriched, theoretically speaking, till eternity. You don't even have to like, I've been working here since long. So I've been going along with my colleagues into the record rooms. I mean, full of dust, full of, those kind of pests are there. So if we are able to, the way I try to explain to the team that if we are able to do this DMS successfully, though no more going to those record rooms and getting all into the dust. So that was also.
Thank you, Mohiji. The display is showing that the time is up, but still, I would like to have final words from each of the panelists. If you have any thoughts or any message that you would like to give to the audience, any final message from your side, 30 seconds.
First of all, Santoshji, I think a phenomenal event. Congratulations
Thank
for
you,
that. The message is very clear and I'll just speak from a HR vantage point. In this journey, still people are going to be most important, whatever technology comes. Having said that, there are elements of human capability which are going to be more important. HR function will commit itself to support everyone in this journey of change, whether from technology abilities as well as enhancing those human abilities which are going to help us surpass this journey. That's my brief message.
Just to add to it, I would say that the question that went to you, sir, was for Gen Z. I would say that this is what we need to take it. In DSFL, every fourth employee is a Gen Z. So that's where our data says. Whereas what we do usually at our SBU is we do a reverse mentoring. So in our case, there's everyone, starting from, I will say from myself to the sales officer level, everybody is doing a reverse mentoring. So I don't feel bad asking my young guy to tell me what is happening on dashboards or things. And the other sides also, they are asking how this happened, what your experience of 25 years tells you, how you can go build up the business. So this is where we are trying doing it. Every single RSM territory has one guy who is responsible for technology. That's where we are running fast and we are running like big. And thanks to the HR also, which is helping us in our projects known as NEEV, where we are hiring fresh people from BBA and MBA colleges, which is helping us build up on this force with technology and experience.
Any final words from you, Mohiji and Shiraji?
So the final word from my side would be that we should not get too carried away that AI is a very complex thing or something that it is something which is very forward looking, unlike the CFOs who might not be those kind of forward lookings. To me, the AI is simply an AI automation. All these are a kind of an assistants and an efficient assistants who have been provided to us. And we should be very keen to hire this assistant and take its help. But the final decisions would always remain with us. And I'm not trying to undermine the AI thing, but still, AI is more historical compared to any of the CFOs, any of an accounts person that we are sitting here. It is all trained on the past data. AI might not be able to handle black swan kind of an events like COVID or Heidelberg thing that happened to Adani or something. Those things which are happening for the first time. It is all trained on the historical data. So these are my last word would be that, I mean, we should take it as an efficient assistant who is around, and we should take its help, and the final decision will always be the users. Thank you.
Shiraji, just final words.
For DS as an enterprise, the cost of compute is very important finally, because that's where all the ROI is. Now, cost of compute gets impacted by a very important term, bytecode encryption. That is the cost of the tokenizer. Now, most of the machine learning models are currently trained on the English language, and when the vocabulary words which are common, the cost of the token is lower. But any out of vocabulary word, OOV, becomes expensive. So the current models which are trained in English, roughly, let's say for 1 million tokens, it's about $1.5. You move to the training of Hindi language, the cost of 1 million tokens will jump from $1.5 to $5. So we need to see this in context of what we require in India, because as sales, marketing, and everything is going down to the granular level, inputs will come from the field, not in the English language, but in the vernacular language. And therefore, with bytecode encryption costs, the cost of compute is going to increase. So we need to go, we need to do this in-house. The training of the models, everything has to be in our language, which currently I think is being done by Sarvam AI, sir. That's all from my side, and thank you for this.
Thank you for bringing this cost element, and the CFO, the finance head sitting just next to you. Probably next time he'll ask how many tokens you're going to use. Based on that, he'll allocate the funds and all. It was an absolute pleasure, talking to all the panelists, and thank you very much.